Hello everybody, welcome back to another stitch with me. I am doing a not full covered piece today, so it'll be a little bit different. I won't be parking with this one. And also, as I said in a previous video with this project, I am enlarging it. So instead of, for each stitch that is in the pattern, I'm doing 4 stitches on my project. So as if I was working over 2 threads, but I am doing each of those 4 squares individually. So it sounds confusing, but once you get used to it, and as long as you're just careful with your counting, it's not really. And ends up with a bigger finished product because with this, it was going to be like about, this big, and I wanted something more substantial. So this project turns out to be twice the size in each direction, which is nice. It takes a little longer to stitch, of course, than stitching over 2 since you are doing each little square individually. But I don't mind that. I like the look of the finished product. This is a present for a relative. It's a huge Legend of Zelda fan like me. It's kind of weird getting back into stitching a non-full coverage piece after only full coverage for the last few years. I haven't stitched anything else since, but I still need to do Link's eyes, so he looks a little funny right now. I said when I was working on the Princess Zelda side and she didn't have her eyes yet, she kind of looked like the Punisher. So that was funny. Okay, so I am over here. So that was 2 stitches past this yellow square, but 4 on the pattern, since I am working as if over 2, but each square individually. So I messed up my counting a couple times using this method, but caught it pretty quickly. So nothing disastrous. Oh, right, yes, I need to do these as well. Okay, well, I'm going to just tie this off. This thread is too short. I have to be a little more careful with my tying off as well, ensuring that none of my ends are going to show through past the design, as, oh my goodness, that is really caught, isn't it? Okay, well, just trim that. There. Yeah, as this is, when it's a full coverage piece, you don't have to be quite as careful, I find, unless you are right at the edges of your design. Oops. Try not to tangle the last 2 threads that you have to separate can kind of do that. My gosh. Doesn't usually happen, but of course when I'm trying to show somebody, right? That's when you can't do even the simplest thing. Oh my goodness, what a mess. Okay, I think that one's done for. So, pull these free. No problem. Still have some usable pieces. And I will put a link in the description box to where you can find this pattern on Etsy. It's just so darn cute. And the designer of this pattern also sells kits, I believe, if you prefer that instead of kitting it up yourself. So this is a quick little stitch. I've only been working on this 3 other days. So, and there's no back stitching either, so. Oh my goodness, it dropped to untangle and then I couldn't find the needle again. Okay, there we go. So another reason, as I said in my previous video with this project, the reason that I'm stitching each little square individually instead of actually stitching over 2 is I didn't want to have to work with so many strands, because I did that once, and to get a decent coverage on working on what is essentially works out to 7 count, because you're working over 2 and I'm working on 14 count, I had to use like 6 strands at once, and yeah, it was bulky looking and it was really hard to keep the threads from twisting around each other. So in the end, I preferred to do it this way. Working each pattern stitch as 4 stitches on my fabric, and that way I can still use 2 threads and get decent coverage and less bulky. That's funny, I bought this piece of Aida cloth on sale like over 20 years ago, and then ever since I've been doing such big projects that I haven't had a chance to use it. It's just been sitting there. So I was really glad to finally find a pattern to use this up. So I'm going to secure this by, so you can see I've gone down here and then up in this next row, and then as I stitch the next one, those catches along the back are going to tack it down and keep it secure. So another way I have found of securing ends without having to turn my work. And I don't have to use a waist knot either to cut later, which is, I tried that and I did not really like it so much. So this is pretty similar to using a waist thread or waist knot. So just make sure that's still taut. There we go. So I always do this when there's at least 3 stitches in a row. Usually 4 is what I go for, because that makes sure you have at least 3 catches on the back. And once you have that many, your thread's not really going to go anywhere. Just use this needle to kind of pull this back to the back. There we go. So that it's no longer showing through the front. Or you could always use, I have my little snag nabbit tool, has the roughened edge, so you can always use that too if you have one, to help you pull the ends back to the wrong side. So this pattern is under 1,000 stitches. And then because I'm doing 4 for each pattern stitch, it's bigger, but it's still just over 3,000 stitches. So it's been a pretty quick stitch, especially for, at least if you're used to huge full coverage pieces, then yeah, 3,000 stitches is really not that much in comparison. It's kind of a pixely pattern, but I mean, I like that it's supposed to look like the original Nintendo 8-bit Legend of Zelda characters, so I think it adds to its charm. All right, Oh dear, unthreaded. Only wanted to do like one more stitch anyway. All right, there. Just remove that. Trimmed a bit. Okay. Oh, sheesh. Fogging the camera there. Whoops. Not very smart of me. After I finish with link, I have to stitch the personalized wedding date below, and then I will show you how I wash and iron a finished product. And instead of framing this, I'm going to turn it into a little tapestry style wall hanging, which I've done before on some bigger projects. So I'll show you how I do that. It's pretty simple. And I really like the finished look. It's also cheaper than framing, I found. I had a very large one that would have cost me $600 to $1,000 to frame when I got some quotes, and it would have been super heavy, and I would have worried it wouldn't have wanted to stay on the wall because I work on 14 count, so it's huge. And I ended up getting supplies to turn it into a wall hanging for I think it was around $150, so I was really happy with that. And to keep them clean, I just use either a blow dryer on the cool setting, blow the dust off them, or you can just beat them like a rug. But honestly, I haven't had that much trouble with it. My house is not terribly dusty, thankfully, so I've been really happy with how those turned out. Yeah, I framed one myself, Heaven and Earth Designs, and the frame was so big that my husband had to reinforce it to make sure it wouldn't pull itself apart, and put some pretty heavy-duty mounts into the wall on the studs so that it wouldn't fall off the wall. So after that, I said to myself that I'm going to make them into tapestry looking things. I mean, plus it's fiber art, so why not, right? Yeah, so I'll show you on this little one, and I may also show you on the big one that the Soulful Mediterranean Tranquility. Once I get that completed, I will be turning it into a wall hanging as well, so I can show you on a bigger piece how I do that. Twisted threads on the top here, railroad them. Oh yes, and this pattern that I got off Etsy, it did work in Pattern Keeper. I can't remember if I had to input the thread numbers myself or if it came in automatically, but there's like less than 20 colors, so if you have to do it manually, it was really quick. Yeah, I would be really reluctant to go back to stitching on paper. I've been spoiled by Pattern Keeper. might finish this today. We shall see. So I also have a couple other Legend of Zelda projects lined up for the future. Those ones are going to be full coverage. I have some really gorgeous, I have one that is the Ocarina of Time, and it looks like a great big stained glass window. Super cool. And I also have a smaller one for Majora's Mask that I found on Etsy as well. I'm a big nerd. I love video games, I love sci-fi, especially Star Trek. So that ends up influencing this hobby too, sometimes. Okay, so Link, tunic and hat are done, at least for this color. All right. Okay. So I color this on the pattern. It says I did 27 stitches, but of course, because I'm doing 4 for each pattern stitch, I actually did more than 100. Okay. Stitch in Link's eyes. At least one of his colors of his eyes. The shine marks on his eyes, the white. Don't really see very much, I think, using white on on cream. So yeah, not really much of a point parking on this design. It's pretty simple, and I do that for full coverage. Whoops. Pulled my thread into a weird uneven bit. There we go. Make that even again, so it won't look all twisted and funny when I'm done. So since this color is so light this time, I'm going to pin stitch it since it will be covered. Can't stitch with that one. It doesn't have an eye. Okay. Missed it. Yeah, that rustling you hear in the background is my guinea pig. Oh, look at that. How did I even manage to do that? Yeah. She is convinced that the hay underneath the hay holder in her cage is better than the stuff on top, so she's digging. Ooh. There we are. And again, I'm going to pin stitch. To tie off. Okay. That's another color done. Love watching those numbers become 0 as you complete them. Gives you a little sense of accomplishment every time you zero a color out. Okay, so it's 2 pattern stitches, but of course that will work out to 8 actual stitches on my project. This piece should be just the right length, I should think. Pretty close. So yeah, I had a request. I do stitch with me's with me talking. So let me know what you think, if you prefer it this way, with me rambling away while I work. Like I said in another video, I'll try to be somewhat entertaining. Okay. Yeah, that was really nice length. Perfect, because I had a second thread this exact same length, so let's not get all twisted though. There. Yes, we want the threads to lie nice and smooth and flat in the finished product. Looks like he's winking at us now, hey? Being cheeky. There we go. So it's wild. We were having a horrible cold snap here for over a week. Temperatures around -40, wind chills down to -50, and yes, -50 Celsius. And then today, it's above freezing. And then in a few days, temperature's gonna plummet again. That's life in Canada for you. can have, there's a joke I saw that said you could get a sunburn and frostbite in the same week. There we go. There we are. Now he's not winking at us. There we go. Okay, so I only have a couple of colors left. I just have his outline in black, and a bit, his eyes are in black. I'm gonna stitch his boots first though. Okay, 355. Okay, so I'm gonna do those ones first. So 2 stitches on my pattern, so that's 4 stitches wide on my work, or 8 stitches total for those 2 stitches. Oh dear, there we go. So I didn't bother gridding this project since it's such a small one. And also it's not a full coverage piece, and I would worry that maybe I would distort the holes where there is no stitches with the gridding, and we don't want that in our finished product. But I grid always for my full coverage pieces, and I will make a video in the future to show you how I do that. There are many ways. Some people use water-soluble pens that wash out later. I like to use a monofilament thread. It's like a really thin ribbon. You can't pierce it with the needle, and so it so I can't very carefully here. So I think, see, now it's a fairly long carry, but the thing is I'm going to be stitching over those stitches with black, and it will tack that carry down. Otherwise, if there was no black in between, no stitches in between these, I would not carry it that far. but as this will be tacked down later, I'm not worried about it. Split that, there we go. Come up correctly here. Okay, so his boots are like a mirror image here. Oh dear, can't seem to find the correct place. I'm splitting my threads here, which we don't want. I don't do projects with fractional stitches anymore, or back stitching. I don't enjoy doing those bits. I do stuff that only has full stitches in it. Okay, and then I'm just going to double check my counting here. There's not a loop there, is it? No. Okay, it looked like it might have been loose. So between these ones here, between those bottom ones, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 8 on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Okay. Count a little more carefully. Oh, what's going on there? That's not coming up nice and clean. So we'll come up the opposite side and go down that spot. There we go. Just to keep everything looking nice and taut and neat on the front of my work. I don't really care if the back of my work is not perfect. Plus, as I said, I'm making this into a wall hanging, so it will have fabric glued to the back of it. So nobody can flip to check my back of my work. As long as there's no big knots or snarls that might cause lumps on the back, I am not concerned with how neat the back is. Oop. Butterfingers today. All right. Perfect. One strand. Oopsie. That's one thing you got to be careful of if you're threading along. Oopsie. Threading along the back here. Not to let your needle come through to the front. So you don't want that showing. So there we go. All right. So another color is zeroed out. So yeah, it's really nice. Go through, all I have left are the black stitches. Everything else is a 0. Pretty fun. There. So let's see, I'm going to use some short little pieces, I think, for the black parts of his eyes. Yes, this one will be just right for the one on the left. 1 pattern stitch, 4 project stitches. If I could just line these up here. There. So what? There we go. Oh dear. Oh, there goes my guinea pig again. Silly girl. Oh. I'm going to pin stitch this amongst these finished black stitches and instead of carrying across on the back, just because I don't want a potential show through. There. All right. Fuzzy stuck in the project. Let's pull that out. Okay. I think this piece will be the perfect length. Get pretty good at guesstimating how many stitches you'll get out of a piece of thread when you've been doing this long enough. There we go. I think there's enough here. I can run this along the back and not worry about showing through. You are being stubborn today. Come on. There we go. Gotcha. Okay. Once again, it's doing that. Goodness, I am not having luck today. I find, when you're pulling a strand out of a fresh batch of 6, it doesn't snarl, but when you get down to the last couple, you got to be extra careful, or they really like to twist up onto each other and tie themselves in knots. All right. Let's start by Link's ear here. Guess we're almost completely outlining him in the black here. It's almost like having a back stitch, except it's made out of actual stitches. So So sometimes I cross as I go if I want the thread to end up on the opposite side of where I started it. Most of the time I don't. Pardon me. Most of the time I like to do a whole bunch of the bottom legs and then come back and cross the top legs. I don't know. Just find that kind of relaxing. In this case, because these are as if I was working over two, the thread will end up differently. So I have to do 2 rows instead of each one. So sometimes I'll cross some of them so that I can carry on. It's almost like a little maze. It's just my way. Okay. That's, oh, hang on a minute. Oh, will you look at that? I missed a green right there. That's why it didn't match up. Aha. Okay. I was thinking, why is it not counting correctly? Ah, I missed 1 stitch on Link's cap. That's funny. Well, I can fix that now. No problem. That piece is too short, yeah. So we might end up with some little ends left behind, but I'm sure when I end up with another project, there's always lone stitches of a color to use somewhere else, so no problem. Oh, it's funny. I guess it's a good thing he's being outlined in black, or I might have missed that I did not do this stitch here. He would have been all lopsided. Oh dear. There we go. Yeah, that's one nice thing with full coverage pieces. You're not going to miss that there's some missing because you'll have a gap in your pattern. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. Missed my magnet. There. Okay. Now we're back to the black. Yes, there we go. So I said I wasn't going to park, but I guess I kind of did, didn't I? Unintentionally, because I made a mistake. There we go. Okay. So I think I'm going to take a break soon, so I will wrap this up. But thank you for joining me for today's Stitch With Me session, and you'll see this project again when I show you how I wash and iron and prepare a finished piece for mounting, and also how I turn it into a wall hanging if you would like to do the same. All right, thanks. Bye, everybody.